welcome back. How are you guys doing? Hope everyone is doing well. As usual, we'll be discussing your favorite movies, psychopath-themed movies. This time, we will review a movie called Speed Hood, which was released in the year 2024. Imagine a mental hospital, where the most dangerous and feared patient is under the watchful eyes of doctors. However, something terrible happens, the patient manages to escape. Can you imagine the chaos that would ensue? Well, that's what we're going to see in this movie. Without further ado, let's get straight into the storyline. Enjoy the video. Movie flow. In a mental hospital that will soon be closed, the employees gather and talk about their plans after leaving the place. Tonight is their last night working there before the hospital officially closes tomorrow. Some of the staff who are still on duty include Andy, Mel, Jiff, Hiking, Noob, Stephanie, and Fiona. Meanwhile, in another room, there are two other workers, Mizam and Ashley, who are secretly having a romantic relationship without their colleagues knowing. In the midst of their busy work, an employee named Messi suddenly announced that there would soon be a new patient they had to treat. Hearing this, Mizam immediately headed to the team room to prepare, while Ashley rushed to the office to check the files of the upcoming patient.
Here he is. This way, mate.
No sooner had the new patient arrived than the person delivering him gave him a stern warning never remove his mask for any reason. Once the patient's file was signed, Mizam immediately asked Hakim to hand it over to Ashley, who was in the office. As Ashley began to examine the patient's file, her expression immediately changed. He looked surprised and agitated. Seeing that reaction, Messi asked what was wrong. With a worried tone, Ashley revealed that this new patient had apparently killed 5 women. After the patient was locked up in his cell, Mel took a position in the control room to watch through the camera. However, not long after, for no apparent reason, the patient suddenly went berserk. He even pointed his middle finger at the camera. Seeing the situation getting out of hand, Cisep, who was on guard, immediately called Mizam for help. On the other hand, Noob accidentally passed by the patient's cell. Instead of being professional, he acts childishly by psychologically torturing the patient. He made noise by sticking a toothpick on the sound trigger button, which is usually used to calm patients down from having tantrums. Not content to stop there, he also let the bell continue to ring, then left the place to go to the toilet. As a result of his actions, an unexpected incident occurred. While Noob was in the toilet doing 5-finger exercises, a mysterious figure suddenly appeared outside. The person turns on the faucet, then covers it with a tissue, causing the water to overflow and flood the floor. Sensing something strange, Noob tries to peek out. However, somehow, the horrible patient had managed to get out of his cell. Meanwhile, in the control room, Mel was stunned when she saw the monitor screen the patient who was supposed to be locked up was now free. Mel immediately informed all employees about the bad news. Hearing this, Mizam immediately ordered Mel to immediately activate the lockdown protocol, so that Kopet's patients could not escape from the mental hospital. In addition, he also asked Mel to immediately contact the police so that they could get help in dealing with this dangerous patient. However, in the midst of the panic that engulfed the entire staff, Ashley seemed much more frightened than the others. No one knew for sure why she looked so anxious. Messi, who noticed Ashley's expression, tried to calm her down by telling her that they were safe in the room, as Andy was with them and the door was locked. However, the situation became even more chaotic when Kopet's patient deliberately turned off all the lights.
Ashley, Macy, where are you?
We're in the office. Andy's here too.
Everything's locked up. We're safe.
Luckily, the backup generator turned on automatically, allowing them to breathe a temporary sigh of relief. Unfortunately, the calm didn't last long, as the patient covered the CCTV cameras with Pilox paint from who knows where. Seeing that things were getting out of hand, Mizam asked Mel to join them in the team room immediately. However, as Mel slowly made her way there, she suddenly heard her scream over the walkie-talkie. Mizam, who heard the scream, could only be transfixed without being able to do anything. Realizing that the situation was getting threatening, Mizam immediately contacted Ashley to ask for more information about the patient's background. With a shaky voice, Ashley explained that the patient's real name was Paul, a man who was imprisoned for killing 5 women. At the moment, Paul is still awaiting the results of his mental health evaluation from the judge. From the latest records, it was revealed that his son and wife had died in a hit-and-run accident. Now, we begin to understand why Paul has become so dangerous and uncontrollable. Paul was taken to this mental hospital because after killing 5 women, the judge wanted to ascertain his mental state. If he was found to be mentally disturbed, he would be quarantined and rehabilitated in a mental hospital. However, if declared sane, he will be subject to criminal penalties, including the possibility of being thrown into prison. Hearing this information, instead of seeking refuge, Mizam immediately instructed everyone to arrest Paul by scattering. Seriously? On the other hand, Messi, who saw Ashley getting agitated, tried to persuade her to tell her story.
Last night in the job.
Oh my God. Seriously?
Reckon.
The hope was that if Ashley could reveal what she was holding back, maybe her anxiety would be slightly reduced. However, Ashley flatly refused, saying it was not the right time for a confiding session. Messi understood the situation, but it was he who started to tell the story. He revealed that his family had also been victims of a hit-and-run, just like Paul. In fact, his son suffered a mental disorder as a result of the incident, and eventually had to be treated at this mental hospital, where Messi now works. Unfortunately, before recovering, his son died. That was the reason why Messi still continued to work at this mental hospital until now. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Hiking and Gyps instead told the magistrate to check the situation. In fact, Hakim was not the right person for this task. However, not wanting to contradict this old man's orders, Hiking innocently began to check around. While Hiking was busy checking the room, it was Gyps' turn to face her destiny. Feeling helpless, Gyps could only surrender, close her eyes, and pray to God. Unexpectedly, his prayers were answered either because this psychopath felt sorry for the old and helpless Gyps, or perhaps he thought Gyps would die alone in the near future. Now it's Fiona and Tobrut's turn to deal with psychopath Paul. When Fiona was tempting Tobrut to duel over donuts, Paul suddenly appeared and attacked her. Tobrut had no chance to fight back and was immediately finished off. Meanwhile, Fiona, who initially managed to escape, was easily caught and ended her life by Paul. Outside the building, 2 policemen had just arrived after receiving a report from Mel. However, they felt like they were being played. The asylum looked like an empty building that had been abandoned for a long time, as the lockdown procedure closed all access in and out. Unaware of the chaos inside, the 2 policemen decided to leave. Meanwhile, Ashley had a nightmare, seeing herself being attacked by Paul. Luckily, Messi immediately woke him up. After waking up, Ashley asked Messi, "What would you do if you met the person who killed your family?" Without hesitation, Messi answered innocently that he would kill the perpetrator for justice. Back to Gyps, who is now with Mizam and Andy. Gyps asks why the police haven't arrived yet. Hearing that question, Mizam revealed his assumption, which turned out to be correct, that the police thought this building was just an abandoned empty building. After that, Mizam planned to find the whereabouts of the 2 women who had previously been executed by Paul. Meanwhile, Andy and Gyps went to evacuate a patient who was next to the cell where Paul was previously locked up. Unfortunately, when Andy and Gyps arrived at the female patient's place, Paul suddenly reappeared from a distance. Gyps tried to save the female patient so that she could survive. Meanwhile, Mizam finally arrived at the original place, because he did not find the whereabouts of Fiona and Tobrut. Mizam also contacted Gyps and Andy. There, Gyps informed him that Andy had died. Unexpectedly, Mizam tried to talk one-on-one with Paul, hoping to calm his mounting emotions.
All I want to do is talk.
At first, their conversation went smoothly, but suddenly through the walkie-talkie, Messi asked Mizam if the plan to trap Paul had succeeded. Hearing this, Paul realized that he had been tricked, and his anger exploded again. Mizum immediately ran to save herself. Fortunately, Paul did not manage to find her. Meanwhile, in the office room, Ashley, who was with Messi, revealed a surprising fact. Apparently, Ashley was the one who caused Paul's family to die, and it was also the one who awakened Paul's psychopathic side so that he massacred the workers at the mental hospital. Hearing this fact, Messi became emotional, realizing that their colleagues should not have lost their lives if only Ashley had revealed this earlier. Ashley, who realized her mistake, could only cry and apologize. However, Messi said that Ashley did not need to apologize to him, but rather to Paul. If only Ashley had the courage to admit her mistake and apologize to Paul from the beginning, maybe he could have calmed down a bit and let his family go, Messi said. At the same time, Gyps suddenly had a heart attack and died on the spot. As it turned out, Paul didn't even need to spend his energy to kill Gyps, because in the end, death still came by itself. Meanwhile, Mizum asked Messi to open the lockdown system. When he gave the code to the police, it turned out that it was part of his plan to frame Paul, so that Ashley and Messi would not get hurt. However, Ashley, who was aware of Mizum's intentions, immediately approached her. Here, Ashley actually intended to apologize directly to Paul, in the hope that she would be the target, so that Mizum would have the opportunity to escape. However, Paul was not so easily distracted. He still killed Mizum in front of Ashley, making her feel the same loss that he had. After the incident, Messi slowly opened the door to leave the building. However, a shocking fact is finally revealed: it was Messi who orchestrated the whole thing in the first place. He was the one who released Paul from his cell. And here, the movie ends a very unexpected ending. It turns out that Messi has been linked to Paul all along. It is possible that it was Messi who leaked Ashley's identity as the hit-and-run perpetrator who had killed Paul's family, so he designed all this so that Paul could take revenge. Okay, guys. This is probably the end of our story this time. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.